the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up!
Welcome everybody to another episode of This is CorbinCenter. This recognition is very easy. Let's jump right into it. Corbinite Recognition. It's going to go to welcome back to my Patreon, Monica. It was great talking with you up in Centuria, I guess. It was a wonderful time, and thank you for always being so supportive. Don't worry, your secret's safe with me. Even though you boo me, I know you deep down love me. But let's talk more about higher ground. Now, again, busy week that I had, so it was nice to have just one show. And I've been up in this neck of the woods so long that I've thought about, maybe picking up a temporary residency. It's really funny, like as I was going to, I think it was called like Frederick or whatever, went past Centuria, went past Milltown, towns that I would be wrestling in. Then I went to Milltown, past Centuria, and all this stuff. And then I showed up in Centuria, and first of all, I'm not really impressed by the town itself. It definitely embodies wrestling to me, because, wrestling where you're like in the middle of a street at a fair, and they just put the ring up right in the street, because what else is going on there? There's barely any traffic coming through. But, again, this was an interesting, this is by far, if I had an award for a place, this is the dustiest that my wrestling gear has ever been, because after changing in a cabinet place, now, the pun was great, would be nice cabinets. Isn't that delightful? That's such a delightful name, isn't it? It's so great. Now, thank you to the people at the fair for bringing free t-shirts. I haven't worn your t-shirt yet, but I used it to stand on to change so that I would get not as much sawdust, because everything was covered in sawdust in this place. Again, I should be thankful. I was always raised to acknowledge and give thanks for people who offer us a locked room, no matter how sawdusty and wood covered it was. And I brought some of it home with me, so I hope you weren't expecting to keep any of it. But and of course I wore black gear, so that happened to just get on all my stuff. But we did score a victory, and this is a rare occasion. There's not any, if you weren't there, you didn't really get to experience all that was good guy Darin Corbin, and maybe the greatest photo ever taken. That's the only proof of this that you'll ever have. I mean, Lorben, come up together, that makes sense. No matter what, we got each other's backs. It was a little weird, I'll tell you this one on this team up, but hey, we scored the victory. I can't knock it. I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on under that tinfoil skull. I mean, he's making things work. He's making things work. Heck, he almost beat me. Keyword is almost, but they just insisted that I was going to win last time. So, it's good that he got to team up with me on there. And first of all, let me just put this over. Wow, strawberry fry bread waffle. Oh my God. I don't normally eat before matches, but when I found out I was the main event, not shocking, I decided to get one of these, and that was delicious. It's one of the best things about wrestling at these county fairs is these food trucks that have these things. They're delicious. They're amazing. They're great. I love it. It's a perk. What can I say? But I have, we'll talk about what I got coming up here. So, July's been crazy already. It's been busy. And also, too, one thing that I'm kind of concerned, I'm trying to read here, is the introduction of Threads, this new social media site. And I've been debating how to do things on social media myself. Obviously, I started doing This is CorbinCenter to push my YouTube channel a little bit. I took a break from pushing it because, again, it seemed like many of these these apps, and they don't have an idea of how to really work together yet. And I feel like all I hear is burying the algorithm, trying to keep a good person down like myself. Many of the algorithms don't seem to want to. Maybe it's discrimination against gingers, I don't know, but they keep seemingly pushing my stuff down. And I've been watching as on Twitter as the impressions and everything keep going down. And of course I have I know exactly what's bringing that down. Let's face it, it's Elon. He does not like me or my consultant calling him out all the time. But because of him tanking Twitter, now we got Threads, and Threads was like the wild, wild west for a while, and I'm trying to figure out where do I fit in, like what do I share, do I make it make sense? I just hit 400 followers on Threads, so at least there's a market there, and it seems like there's over 1 million people, if not more. I mean, definitely a lot. So where do I start focusing? Do I start putting out this is CorbinCenter? I mean, obviously I'm going to put it out there, but I don't want to spam anything. I don't want to spam people just on Threads on all my videos. I mean, what you should do is you should subscribe to my YouTube channel, do all this, but I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to go about sharing and getting my messages out to the masses. And many of you might say something along the lines of maybe people just don't care. And you'll probably die alone if you're one of those people, but it's only fair. But I want to focus more on the YouTube channel. I want to focus more on getting things out there and focusing on building communities. And that's why my Patreon is always so important to me. And again, as I mentioned, we've added members, and that's great. That community's awesome. So I'm curious to find out how I fit into Threads. So that's kind of the interesting part, and we'll figure it out. We'll play it by ear. But I want you to know that, again, I took a while ago. I started keeping track of the views that came about on Twitter, and I started keeping track of all those things and finding the patterns in which the views would be there by uploading it directly. But now I think I might focus back a little bit, maybe on the YouTube channel, and start releasing content there. I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. That's what we do. Now, let's bring back a segment that everybody loves on This is CorbinCenter. It involves my consultant, and it's called Let's Get Dirty. This is one where I always am very vocal about how awful some wrestling journalists, quote unquote, are. Basically, it's just a bunch of buzzwords and clickbait that get people trying to click on a story, and then you realize it's either nothing at all, or it's false, or they thought they had some insider information and they run with it. Still the best one, if you remember this, the Phantom Punches on Goldust, on Dustin Rhodes, where Eric Cannon claimed it was him, and then all these websites ran with it, and he got attention, and then they had to retract it because clearly it was a lie, but they just wanted to report the first story because they have no credentials or no integrity, so that's what they did. That's what Let's Get Dirty is. Because all I do is I feed my consultant a story, and I just feed him a headline in one line, and he just rolls with it because he thinks it's the greatest thing ever. He doesn't do any research, and still somehow it's more credible than some wrestling journalists out there. So I fed him this story, and I would love to see how he runs with it on this one. Okay, so we all know that, the Undertaker's some undead demon, and, he could always make himself, disappear, shoot fire and lightning and all that stuff, and, he even got resurrected and all that, and he's been, buried and set on fire. But, if I were him, I wouldn't be afraid of many of these things, too. But there's one thing that I've learned, and all the times that I've been married, there's a thing that I've learned, and that's you don't mess with another man's wife, and that goes for my mortal enemy, sharks. That's right. Shocks. You've seen them in tornadoes, which make shocknadoes, which are the number one natural disaster cause of most deaths involving Tara Reid. So the Undertaker, though, he just walked into the beach, and how he used to stand on the side of the apron and would raise his hands and the lights came up. He just sat and he stared at this shark, and he was like, "Shark, rest in peace." That shark was like, "Not today, Taker. Not today. I'm going to go away. I'm going to go away. You're big evil. I'm going to go away. But I'm going to come back with some of my friends. I'm going to bring back my friends probably." Because sharks, do they travel? The great white? Could you imagine the shark versus the Undertaker? Could you imagine? I mean, you couldn't have a casket match unless you fill. Maybe it would be an aquarium, hell in an aquarium or something like that, or would the Undertaker be able to shoot lightning in the water and fry the shot? I don't know. They're both cold-blooded killers. They're both that, and the Undertaker He's so used to locker rooms with guns, you know, like he's used to that. And Sharks, they don't even need guns. They're like a human killing machine. So this was pretty impressive. But if I was Michelle McCool, I would probably have boned him later that night because I'd be like, nah, my husband, he just scared away Shark, and he's sexy. I'm never disappointed when it comes to him. And if you don't want to be disappointed, either join my social media, again, now I'm on Threads, go to my YouTube, my Patreon, but also here's some shows that you can catch me. If you're watching this at any time during the week, you will notice that I have 3 shows for First Wrestling. We're going back down to Iowa for Decorah, Des Moines, and back to the Uptown VFW. Match was just announced with Kara, Free Range Kara at St. Paul Park. I just wrestled her at the Taste of Minnesota. Now we're doing it again. And then we're going back to Prize. Free event at Prize for First Wrestling. That's going to be great. And then at the end of the month, I got some things up in the air. I can't discuss it yet. Just stay tuned. Just keep watching this. You'll know soon enough. And then August, busy. Time Bomb. St. Paul Slammers rescheduled. Dog collar match for the Breakout Championship. That's right, Connor. I'm going to knock out your other freaking tooth. And we're going to have that match. And then Bauhaus, which is an epic summer event. That's like our SummerSlam, kind of, which is great. And of course, I don't want to leave out the 1029 bar, because I'm the champion there. So it's going to be good to defend my belt, even though it comes once a year, which is probably like maybe Ben Shapiro. Ha! What a reference that is. Anyway, that's my upcoming schedule. Please stay tuned for more This is CorbinCenter. 25 episodes already, and we're still rolling, so stay tuned.
Don't stop.